So you're thinking about McGill Dentistry, huh? It's one of the best dental schools in Canada, no question. But have you ever wondered what it really takes to get in? Well, today we are breaking down all the data, peeling back the curtain to see if you have what it takes. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's just start with the biggest number right off the bat, 5.4%. That's it. That's the overall acceptance rate for McGill's dental program, based on the 2024 data. So yeah, it's one of the most competitive programs in the entire country, and that number right there, it pretty much sets the stage for the massive challenge we're about to unpack. And to really make that percentage sink in, look at the actual numbers. It's a funnel, right? You've got 755 people applying for a spot in the 2024 cycle. And at the very bottom of that funnel, just 41 who actually enrolled. Seeing it laid out like this really shows you just how intense the competition is. So the big question is, how do you become one of those 41? Well, it all starts with the first big hurdle, your academics. Before they look at your personality, your experiences, any of that stuff, you have to clear a very, very high academic bar. Let's break down exactly what that looks like. You're going to want to remember this number, 3.90. For the class that was admitted for fall 2025, the average undergraduate GPA was a 3.90. And let me be super clear here. That's not the minimum you need to apply. That's the average of the people who actually got accepted. This is the benchmark you're aiming for if you want to be truly competitive. And on top of that killer GPA, you've got to have your science prerequisites totally locked down. And they are specific. We're talking 2 intro courses in bio, 2 in general chem, and 2 in physics, all with labs. Plus, you need 1 course in organic chemistry, and yep, that needs a lab too. Now, here's a little interesting tidbit. McGill does let you substitute 1 calculus course for one of those 2 physics courses, so keep that in mind. And finally, the foundation for all of this is a full 4-year, 120-credit bachelor's degree. And McGill is pretty firm on this. They expect you to have done it on a full-time basis. They want to see that you can handle a tough, consistent course load because, that's what dental school's going to be like. Okay, let's move on. Because, as we just saw, a 3.9 GPA is what gets you in the door, but it doesn't automatically get you a seat. This is where things get really interesting. McGill uses what's called a holistic review, which just means they're looking at way more than just your grades. First up on that list is the Casper test. If you haven't heard of it, it's this mandatory online test that throws you into a bunch of hypothetical situations to see how you'd handle them. It's not about what you know, it's about who you are. It's designed to measure all those crucial soft skills like your professionalism, your ethics, your communication, things that are absolutely essential for a dentist, but don't really show up on a report card. You're also going to need a super detailed CV. This is your chance to show off all your extracurriculars, any volunteer work, research you've done, the whole shebang. And here's a huge one, a real game changer for the 2025-2026 cycle. You now have to prove you have at least an intermediate B2 level of French. That's a big new requirement. And finally, while they do accept students from all over, there is a very clear preference for residents of Quebec. Now for some really good news that's probably going to make a lot of you breathe a sigh of relief. For this upcoming application cycle, McGill has actually dropped the Dental Aptitude Test, the DAT, as a requirement. Now, they say this is temporary, but for now, that is one less massive, stressful exam you have to worry about. All right, so you've got the grades, you've aced the Casper, your CV is amazing. But what about the cost? Because getting into dental school is one thing, paying for it is a whole other beast. Let's get real about the financial side of a McGill DMD degree. This is something every single applicant has to wrap their head around. That tuition number you see on the website, that is just the tip of the iceberg. The other fees, well, they can be absolutely mind-blowing. So here's a rough idea of what you're looking at all in per year. For a Quebec resident, it's somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000 a year. If you're Canadian but not from Quebec, that number jumps to between $60,000 and $80,000. And for international students, well, it can easily soar past $100,000, even $130,000 annually. And you might be asking, where does all that cost come from? A huge chunk of it is equipment. Get ready for this, $17,000. That's the estimated cost for the equipment and materials you have to buy in your second year alone. It is a massive one-time payment on top of everything else. Oh, and it doesn't stop there. The fees just keep on coming. There's a $176 application fee, a $500 deposit if you get in, and then you have annual clinic and lab maintenance fees that can be anywhere from $1,300 to over $2,700 a year. And that's all before you've even bought your first textbook or white coat. Okay, so we've covered the academics, the holistic stuff, and the finances. Let's put it all together now. What does the profile of a student who actually gets one of those 41 spots, what do they look like on paper? To make this super concrete, let's look at a question from a real-life applicant on Reddit. This person has a cumulative GPA of 3.64, a really strong list of extracurriculars, and they're asking, do I have a good shot? It's the question everyone has, right? Let's put their question right up against the hard data. The applicant's GPA is a 3.64. The average GPA of a student who actually got in was a 3.9. And right there, you see the gap. Even with amazing extracurriculars, trying to overcome that big of a GPA difference is an uphill battle. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's a crucial reality check. So what this all comes down to is that you need the complete package. A successful applicant, that winning profile, has that near-perfect GPA, they're usually a bit older, the average age is 24, and get this, almost a quarter of the last class already had a master's degree. They back up those grades with a fantastic CV, a high Casper score, and of course, they check all the boxes for residency and those new language requirements. So there you have it. We've laid out the numbers, the hurdles, the costs. We've painted a picture of the kind of student who makes it through that tiny 5% acceptance rate. Now you have all the data. So the final question really is for you to answer. Do you have what it takes?